We're like, you gotta get a real job, you know?
My experience has been, well, my experience is I'm an account management, client engagement. So I'm on the inside helping the client understand their products, helping them grow their products. I'm not the salesperson. But my experience in dealing with salespeople and where I've had some jobs where I have supported sales forces, the one consistent trait across every successful salesperson I've seen has been they're all competitive. They're doing it as much for the win as they are for the money. If you are competitive and you care about the win, you probably can sell.
That's very true.
I think there's both an art and science here. You look at organizations like Xerox. They've got a whole Leesburg training facility. They teach people the discipline of the sales. There's a personality trait, an ability to connect with people and all of that. But when you understand how to lay out your case, how to go for the close, how to do trial closes, there are a lot of pieces you can learn. So, you know, to me, you learn it on the job sometimes, but you can make yourself better at it. You can study it. Yeah, if you're the hermit, you're never going to be great at it. But I've seen people who were athletes, P&G takes athletes, who don't know squat about sales, but they have that competitive piece, and they put them through 6 months of training, and they learn the discipline of it. And by and large, they come out competent at it. Maybe you're never going to be a great salesperson, but you can get better if you try.
I was just going to say, I think that you can get away with sales nowadays without being that extrovert, that real competitive guy. You can do, I mean, a lot of engineers can be great salespeople because you can do it through just getting email. You get that conversation going through email. You never meet them in person. You get them on a call and you sell them on why this solves their needs. Like, if you can understand what is their needs and what is their pain points, you can sell someone without being like charismatic by just really reaching what they want. And I don't know, I think it's a little bit different than how we traditionally push that very competitive salesperson. You can do it in other approaches.
My boss always says hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. It's some quote. But basically, I think that if you are a really hardworking person and you're willing to push yourself, you can do sales if you don't have necessarily the sales personality traits. But that doesn't mean you're going to necessarily enjoy it even when you do get the sale, or that you're going to get the same satisfaction as someone who has that personality trait, who is the type of, you know, charismatic person who it just kind of comes naturally. It's not saying that you can't do it, but it's going to be a lot harder to do, and the reward or the satisfaction might not even be as rewarding as doing, you know, what you're innately better at.
Well, let's be clear, you know, 90% of salespeople just like hit quota or worse, right? You know, most sales are done by the killers. So we're talking about the killers, but there's plenty of salespeople that, you know, they do okay, right? So they're not the killers, but they do fine. And there's a lot of them on pretty much every single sales team.
So I guess what I was going to say to, as a rebuttal to your point, I think as a startup, like, yeah, you can show people metrics and not be really, I guess, as like have as salesman like personality, but like that first deal often where it's required to have somebody take a chance on you. I mean, oftentimes it takes like an aggressive relationship builder to get you to get somebody to commit to you when you don't have any proof points, when you don't necessarily have all the things that you can point to, that it makes like logical sense for this person to do a deal with you. So I would argue that, you know, you're totally right. Like if I can come to somebody and be like, listen, I can give you these metrics and they're going to be better than everybody else and you're going to do it at a cheaper price, yeah, you don't need to necessarily be a salesperson. But if you need somebody to essentially do something for you out of the realm of like pure like logical factual sense, then like yeah, I think it is really valuable in your arsenal to have somebody that can essentially be persuasive enough to convince somebody to do something that's like away from the status quo.
That's a great point. And add to that, you have, you know, as you all know, startups is you're selling to the enterprise, you're going to be around 3 months from now. You know, I happen to know you have like $12.75 in the bank. So, you know, when are you gonna hang this up, and I'm gonna make a chance on you when I could have purchased something else. So, you know, there's a lot in selling a startup that you need, you know, you need somebody that's somewhat persuasive.
Fair enough. Last question, open it up to the audience after this, but essentially with marketing, for example, we see the intersect now happening between engineering and what's traditional marketing through, what's now called growth hacking. Is something similar happening in sales? I mean, I guess what's the future by as far as sales is concerned? Is there a combination of engineering and sales perhaps in line with where growth hacking is going, whereby it's very data driven, where sales is approached differently in this era, perhaps more inside sales, less field sales, etc. Do you see any big changes occurring in the future of sales because of technology and some sort?
So throughout my sales process and my team's sales process, I've really tried to systematize essentially the consultative sale. So enterprise sales, or when you're selling to any large entity, it used to be all whining and dining and all, they buy from you first and all of that. What I found to be really successful is having a system in place. When do you email? When do you follow up? How do you follow up? When do you stop following up? What articles do you send? How do you get the information that you need and when you need it to ping the person, the decision maker you go after? How do you find the right person within that company? And although it's not necessarily an engineering perspective, I do kind of associate.
Still quite analytical.
Right, it's very analytical and it's very structured. Actually, sorry, little plug. I'm teaching a Skillshare class May 7th about about making the consultative sales more systematic. May 7th. So there's going to be a discount code for this class. That's Teach Me, and I'll tweet it so you can follow me on Twitter and we'll see it. So Teach Me, Skillshare May 7th, all about.
Where is the class?
It's going to be at Single Platform Headquarters, Battery Park. I know it's a little bit of a trap, but all the subways are good.
So I'm sorry, repeat the question around that?
The whole idea that with marketing, for example, is becoming very data driven, where the sort of the growth hacking, the overlap between engineering and marketing is getting larger. Is something similar happening in sales?
So technology has changed sales quite a bit. When I first started selling, you kind of hoped maybe sometimes that they wouldn't even find out about two of your competitors because they didn't hear about the deal. Now what happens is if you go into a company and you try to make a pitch, after you leave the meeting, they go and Google and they check out 7 of your competitors, see what it is, right? So that's something that didn't exist before. So you got to be prepared, for all of that. I think that data is really, and